Welcome back to Vedic Enigma. So I hope that all of you are doing great. And welcome back to another interesting video on a special topic. So this is on career and profession. And I keep reading all your comments, and there are so many people who keep asking about that. How do they find the right career stream for themselves, and how do they find that right profession? So I've already made a video on this previously as well. So that was using Saturn as a main planet, and that was in Hindi. So this video is in English, and we will be discussing a few more techniques. Along with Saturn, we will be taking into consideration few more planets as well. And we will see that how we can decipher, using the chart, that which career stream or which business, which area like related to which planet, you should do work that will help you to succeed. And I would also like to point one very important fact over here, that no planet, or no house is completely like, specifically, no house is completely malefic or completely benefic. Like, I see a lot of people getting scared of the sixth house, eighth house, 12th house, and they feel like they're all malefic houses, and somebody has so many planets in these houses, and they feel, oh my God, my life is hell, so nothing like that. It's very wrong to assess any chart, seeing if so many planets are in these houses, because you will see that for certain career paths, for certain professions, these houses itself are very crucial, very important. And for example, if we see the eighth house, eighth house is also connected with, mortuary, like, with activities related to cremation. So just imagine that people who are actually involved in those activities, who have their karma associated with those activities, people who are working in insurance companies, or somebody who is working in the emergency department. So for them, that house is very important. They are doing, for majority of the day, they are involving themselves in those related tasks that are related to that particular house. Similarly, if you see the 12th house, it is connected with hospitals, it is connected with jails. So imagine like people who are actually working inside the jails, they are not criminals, but they are working, and they are, doing stuff inside the jail. So for them, again, that house becomes very important. So it is very wrong to assume that just because a house is malefic or has some malefic aspects to it, then if you see so many planets over there, or if your 10th lord is going there, so your career is screwed. That is a very wrong way of assessing the chart. And I see a lot of fear around, when I read the comments also, people are very scared when they look at these combinations. So I will try to, clarify, these combinations as much as possible. And we will also be talking about the D10 chart and how do you assess that D10 chart for career. So, but before we start this video, I would really appreciate if you like, share, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. It will really mean a lot to me. So some of the people were also curious, and they were asking about my name. So my name is Muskan. I've mentioned that in the comments as well. And it is a bit funny that even though my name is Muskan, but I don't smile that much. It looks as if I don't smile that much in the videos, and it comes off as a bit serious, but I'm not so serious as a person. But yeah, my name is Muskan. So yeah, let's start with the video now. So about career and profession. So firstly, the most actually important planet that people keep missing out always, and they keep focusing on Saturn only for profession. They keep looking at 10th house of profession. It is actually Mercury. So yes, I have mentioned this in Mercury conjunctions videos as well, that Mercury is a very, very important planet to look at when you have to assess somebody's career. Because firstly, it is the Karka of the 10th house, and 10th house has many Karkas, including Saturn, including Sun, Jupiter. But Mercury is a very, very important Karaka of the 10th house. And Mercury, as we know, it is also your skill set. It is your intellect, it is your buddhi, and how quickly you can understand something, how a quick grasp you have of something, and how much curious you are about something. So even if we see this in a logical manner, you will not like to do something, if you're not curious about your work, if you're not good at it. So just imagine people who are actually doing really well in their professions, and they are also excelling, and they are getting promotions. They are very good at what they are doing. They are curious about their work. They know exactly how the work needs to be done. So for this, trait, like this trait comes from the planet Mercury. So, and everybody has Mercury somewhere placed in their chart. Every person on this earth has Mercury somewhere. So you just have to firstly see that where your Mercury is placed in the chart, in which house it is placed, it is conjunct with which planets, which sign it is placed in. So that will give you a very, very important, information regarding that where your skill set lies. What are the things that you can actually do really well in? Because those are the areas where your mind will naturally work. Sometimes people say that, oh, he's naturally good at maths. They are talented. They just know how to do it. So that comes from Mercury. And sometimes even if we keep putting in so much hard work in something, like for example, I was very weak in physics. Physics was not my favorite subject, and I was very weak in physics, but I was very good with biology. I was very good with psychology. So those things I could grasp and I could understand easily, but I could not understand physics. So, for example, like if somebody has maybe Mercury Ketu combination, they could be very good with physics. They can understand those complex things very well, and I cannot. So, even if I used to try my level best to, understand it, still I could not. I just had to mug it up, in the end, and that is not how you do physics. So, I'm just giving you an example to show that how important it is that you should identify with which planets your Mercury is with and in what condition it is placed in. So I will give you certain examples. Like suppose you have Mercury's connection with the eighth house, with the eighth lord, or with the 12th house, 12th lord, or it is connected with planets like Ketu, and or is with Rahu, and it's making a connection with these houses. Then the person, it shows the person has a very curious, investigative kind of a mind. They can do very well in research, things which require a lot of in-depth analysis. So any job that is connected with, like for example, marketing research, like suppose Mercury Rahu is together in the sign of Gemini in the 8th house or in the 12th house. So it shows their mind will work very well in those areas. Their mind can work very well in astrology. They can be a detective also with this combination. So similarly like this, you have to see like which planets are connected with Mercury, what those planets signify. So for example, if Mercury is connected with Mars in some way, so again, technical skills it shows, like for example, driving that you do, people who are in the army, it's a very technical kind of a job, things which require a lot of manual effort. So those kind of things they can be very good at. People who are in the police, so because you require a lot of hand movement, in these kind of jobs. People who are chefs, they need to cut something. People who are surgeons. So anything that requires the use of instruments, sharp objects, so in those kind of jobs, it shows now Mercury's intelligence is getting combined with Mars. So in those areas, you will do very well. You will naturally be skilled at it. Other people will not be able to compete with you. So if suppose you have Mercury Mars combination, then it makes sense. That is like the first layer on which you can analyze that, okay, your skill set is lying in this area. If suppose Mercury is connected with Moon, and it's in the fourth house or has some connection with fourth house, or if it's in the sign of Pisces and some healing related work, people who are therapists who can understand you emotionally, those kind of jobs become very good at. They are naturally skilled at those things. If suppose Mercury is connected with Saturn, then you can do very well in fields like law, and like if you see a lawyer also, lawyer is very strongly connected with Saturn. Even if Mercury is connected with Jupiter, they can do very well in terms of law. They can do very well, they can be a doctor. With that combination, it gives you a lot of knowledge. They can be a PhD also with that, because it shows that you are able to grasp all sorts of knowledge. So they are like in Hindi we say Sarvagyani log, they know everything. So though that kind of a knowledge, that kind of a wisdom comes with like Mercury Jupiter connection. And even if Venus is suppose involved, like if Mercury Venus connection is there, then they can do very well in any creative kind of fields. Anything that is artistic requires a lot of imagination and requires a lot of even Mercury and Moon can make you very imaginative as a person. So like this, you have to see that what each planet represents and what are the natural karak tattvas, things that that planet signifies, and how will Mercury behave with those planets. With Ketu, like I said, that it requires you to go very detail oriented. So any job that you feel like is very like it requires a lot of in-depth analysis, like suppose it's very like with, for example, stock market equities trading, things related to that, which requires a lot of number crunching and you have to analyze a lot of stuff. So for that, Mercury Ketu can do very well in that. Similarly, any job that is connected with research or something like in the area of genetic research, microbiology, so those kind of things. And if Mercury is with Rahu, then they can do very well, in photography, for example. They can do very well in pharmacy. So with Mercury Rahu, you can even do very well in any technology related job that requires, for example, computer science, And with Ketu, you can even do well in electrical and electronics, So that kind of a domain is represented more by Ketu. Similarly, if like Mars involvement is there, Mars, Saturn, Mercury is combination, this is there. So they can do well in mechanical engineering. So you have to see that which planet is connected with Mercury. Like Saturn is also connected with history, things of the past. And even people who are, for example, archaeologists, and they are doing some study of these ancient monuments and all. So that all will also come under Saturn. So Mercury, Saturn, they can do well in those areas. So like this, you first see that, okay, which area is of your interest, and how is your Mercury placed. So that will tell you that will your mind actually work, in that particular area that you are actually interested in. And if your mind is able to work and do well in that, then that thing will happen effortlessly. You'll not have to put in that much hard work that you would have to put in some other career, which is not, your mind is not working in that, and you still have to, slog in that. So that is why Mercury's placement position is extremely important to look at. And even I'll give you certain examples of jobs, that are there nowadays. Like, for example, consulting is there, strategy consulting, anything to do with that. So that is very strongly connected with the sign of Sagittarius, because sign of Sagittarius is connected with strategy. And it is again like Mercury, Jupiter, if somebody has. I've seen a lot of people who are in consulting, they have Sagittarius rising, they have 10th Lord in Sagittarius, they have a lot of planets in Sagittarius. So that is how they are able to somehow navigate, and they are able to make their, work in it. Similarly, for example, if you are doing anything which is connected with oceans, which is connected with marine life, if you are like people who are there in the merchant navy, or if you want to do a job that involves a lot of traveling, so again, Mercury moon needs to be connected. So firstly, to do any education related to that, like even chemistry for that matter, even people who do hotel management, hospitality, anything to do with that. So that is again moon. So moon needs to be analyzed very carefully in those professions. So even if suppose you're picking something, okay, this planet represents this field, and that is how you need to see. Like if you want to be a very great professional photographer, Rahu should definitely be strong in the chart. If you want to become a pilot, you want to do anything to do with aviation, so yeah, Rahu needs to be very strong. You want to come in politics. So first you try to assess that particular job, that particular career path, that which planets should be prominent, which planets I need to make use of in this for me to excel in that job. And then you see in your chart that how are those planets placed? How well are those planets placed? Are they making any connection with Saturn? Is it making any connection with Mercury? So that will show that how much support you are getting in that particular area. So this was about Mercury. And if you have, suppose, any particular, profession in mind, and if you want to know that, okay, which planet, would be linked with this, so you can, ask me that in the comment section below, and I will try to answer, all your comments and queries. So this was the first layer, analyzing Mercury and assessing Mercury's strength, connection with different planets. So second, we will come and talk about Saturn. So because like I said, Saturn is also a very important planet because it is also the Karka of the 10th house, and in the original Kalpurush Kundli, Saturn controls and rules the 10th house. So you have to very carefully see now Saturn's placement, in which house Saturn is placed, again with which planets it is placed, and in which sign it is placed, and which are the planets that are trying to Saturn. So they are kind of influencing and they are supporting, because trines always in Rigu Nandi Nadi, trines are always that supporting element, like 159. That is why we say that it can be considered as a conjunction because they are in the same element. So if suppose you pick up the trine of fire, like Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, they are all that element is similar. Similarly in 2, 6, 10, it is all earth element. So like this, you have to see that, okay, in Saturn's trine, which all planets are following. So Saturn has which planets support with it. So suppose you have, again, combinations will differ, but I will try to simplify it. Like suppose you have Saturn getting connected with Mars. Okay, and you see that suppose Saturn Mars is there in the fourth house, or Saturn Mars is there in Aries sign, and you see that 10th Lord is also connected with fourth house, 10th Lord is also in Aries. So because I'm taking into consideration fourth house, because with Saturn Mars, you see that anything connected with real estate property, land. So those all professions become very prominent and strong with Saturn and Mars. And on top of that, if you have the 10th Lord also getting connected with fourth house, if you have Aries sign involvement, over here, or even the sign of Cancer is involved somewhere. So again, it can indicate some profession that it is showing, the chart is showing you that if you do any profession related to, Martian things, like with regard to property, land, real estate, so you can do well in those areas, because that is your natural chart, placement. So you are getting yourself connected with that. You're getting yourself aligned with that. So that is why it is important to look like this. Then suppose there are also other professions that are connected with Mars. So for example, army, police, anything that is very like requires a lot of manual effort, requires a lot of physical effort. Even people who are working, for example, in the car mechanics, like the shops. So again, they are changing tires or they're doing something which is a lot of manual work. So those all professions are also connected with Mars. So Saturn Mars combination you can even find in somebody start who is a surgeon, because they are also doing something which is connected with Mars. But again, like all of these professions, also if you see that are coming under the domain of Mars, they are very, very different from each other. So again, you also have to look now that where the 10th Lord is placed, like in which house the 10th Lord is placed. And you also have to look at your D10 chart for that. So I'll come to those parts as well. But this is how you can get again a fair idea that, okay, these are the professions that I can get myself involved with. And so basically, it is showing any profession that is very masculine in nature. Firstly, Mars effect is there, and something that requires a lot of hard work and requires a lot of technical effort. So it is not really so much about again knowledge like strategy consulting. It's not like that. It is more related to precision. It is more related to that accuracy. Even for example, you see the surgeon's job also. It is very precise. They have to be very. It has to be a targeted. It is a targeted job. So those are the kind of jobs that would be connected with Mars. And Mars is also connected with professions that require you to wear a uniform, so that is also connected with Mars. So again, like you see, doctors, you see people who are there in the army, people who are there in the police. So those all professions are very strongly connected with Mars. And doctors also, specifically surgeons. Then we come to the next planet. Like suppose you have the planet Mercury. So if suppose Saturn is with Mercury, or Saturn is in trines with Mercury, or even it is placed seventh from Saturn. Like suppose Saturn is there in the fourth house and Mercury is there in the 10th house. So again, there is an indirect connection of Saturn and Mercury. So Mercury is again connected with any kind of job that is firstly communication heavy. So something that requires a lot of either traveling, a lot of communication, like writing, publishing, speaking, and it's a very expressive kind of a job. Or it can be a job which is connected with small children, because Mercury also represents children. So Mercury's portfolio is also very, very broad, you see. But the chart is somehow showing that you need to make now your strength or your professional success is now linked with Mercury. So if you make use of Mercury's elements in your job, so there are chances of you succeeding and doing well in that particular job. So Mercury also represents marketing, people who are chartered accountants, people who are very good with numbers, any job that requires a lot of calculations. So those all jobs. Teaching is also comes under Mercury, and even people who are content writers. So any job that is connected with that. People who are stand-up comedians, they also come under Mercury. So again, like the things that Mercury represents, it's very broad, but these are but it definitely shows that for your profession to rise, for your profession to do well, it is very important that your communication, how you are presenting yourself, how you are writing, that will play a very, very important role in your job. So if you are able to somehow improve Mercury, if you're able to work on Mercury, making it better, using better vocabulary, better choice of words, then it shows that career will also, do better. Next planet we talk about, which is the planet Venus. So if suppose Saturn and Venus are connected together, or suppose Saturn and Venus are trying to each other, like Saturn is in the fifth house and Venus is in the ninth house, or it's in the ascendant, or it's in the 11th house, so seventh from it. So again, it can show that Saturn and Venus have a connection in your chart. So Venus, as you know, firstly, it represents all creative, artistic kind of jobs. So whether it is anything to do with drawing, painting, dancing, singing. For singing, we also have to see Moon, but Venus would also represent that. And any job that is connected with beautification of things, which is connected with aesthetics. So even people who are interior designers, interior decorators, stylists, who are fashion designers, all these kind of jobs will come under Venus. And Venus also represents any job that requires you to deal with a lot of females. So suppose you're doing any job, any business that requires you to, have a very female clientele is there, and you are constantly interacting with them. So those all jobs will also come under Saturn Venus combination. So it is somehow showing you that for the profession to do well, for your professional success, you have to make use of Venus. So you have to dress up well, you have to take care of how you're looking. So those kind of things become very important with this. And also it's showing that if you do a job that is actually connected with Venus, so Saturn will support that. Like Saturn is getting its support through Venus, So if you make use of Venus related things in your job, there are better chances that, you can, that would be the right job for you. And Venus, as we know, it's also connected anything to do with like I said, beauty, makeup, and with enhancement of anything, enhancement of any sort. Even like suppose if you take a profession that is there of cosmetic surgeon. Okay, so cosmetic surgeon is again like it can be a combination of Saturn, Mars, and Venus, and Rahu might also be there. Some this kind of combination would be happening, but Venus would also be there. See, because you see that he's a surgeon, so Mars involvement needs to be there. Venus Rahu's involvement also needs to be there because Rahu represents things that are artificial, that are fake. Okay, so even somebody who's like a plastic surgeon, cosmetic surgeon, so they are enhancing the beauty through an artificial manner through surgery. So again, you see that in this job, which all planets would actually be needed. So you see that okay, these four planets are there. They have to somehow form a trine. They have to be together, or they have to be together in the D10 chart. So somewhere that linkage needs to be there. So because it's there in the chart, if the person does something related to that, they can do well. The chances of succeeding are really high. So similarly, like this, we can take the planet Moon. So suppose Saturn and Moon are together, then what would be the right profession for you? So again, like Moon, firstly, I see this combination a lot, Saturn, Moon trying to each other. So I always tell the people also that look for a job that firstly requires you to travel. Either it can be a job that requires a lot of frequent traveling, then this position is suitable for that job. Or if you're not able to find something like that, then look for a job that you are doing near a place which is connected with water. So it's a city that is near water, like Mumbai is there, like Goa is there, city which is surrounded by water. So those areas would be suitable for professional success. So that is one way of looking at it. But it can even be a job that, suppose with this combination, if you are doing anything to do with, like if you're in the hospitality industry, so that also suppose that if you are if you have done like chemistry and you are like a researcher in chemistry, so that can also be a good combination with this. If you are doing anything, if you're doing suppose a business also, but that business is connected with suppose small babies, like people not people but kids, like very very small babies, infants, because those will also come under Moon. So if suppose there is any product catering to that, that could also come under Moon. Or it could even be connected with milk liquids, like milk. So if you are somebody is doing any business connected with milk products or something to do with that, so they could have a combination like this. So in that sense, it is supporting because you are doing work which is related to that planet. that same combination of Saturn and Moon, it can even show and give fluctuations in career. It can give breaks because Moon is a very wavery kind of energy. It is not fixed. So it is showing now the career is also very, very fluidic. So it is better that suppose you do something either related to the domain of Moon, or you do a job which requires you to travel, or you do something which is freelancing, or you're working from home, or you're doing something which is again like you have went away like to a different country altogether. You've left your place, left your home, which is Moon. So then it can be supportive. So I'm telling the conditions in which the same combination can provide good results. It can be supportive, conducive. Or if you pick up anything which is connected with Moon, or you pick up a job in which 1 month you are getting suppose 20,000, next month you're getting 50, next month you might be getting 10. So the salary is not fixed. So a job which is very, very either, it is contractual based, or it is something which is not, it's very much like the Moon. So then it will not give troubles because you have used the significations of that planet in the job. So this is how you have to see and identify that which might be the correct profession for me and what is it that I can do there in. And similarly, suppose I'm just talking about two planetary combinations, but if you have more planets connected with it, so it will give you a better flavor. Like suppose somebody has like Saturn, Moon, Rahu, so with Saturn, Moon, and Rahu are together. So it could maybe indicate a profession, like if suppose they are um, like a marine life engineer, for this, or even somebody who's like an environmental engineer with this. So there are now new professions also that are coming up, or they're doing work related to research, but they are doing research in the area of like Moon, like so they are doing some research on drugs, on something like that. So that again can be a suitable profession for them. It is supporting because the work they're doing, it's involving Moon also, it's involving Rahu also. So if the planets are involved, like if you are using the significations of those planets in a good manner, then it shows that it will not give troubles. So that is how it needs to be seen. Next combination we see, which is Saturn. Saturn. So suppose you have Saturn and Sun connected together, like either in the same house, or if suppose Saturn is in the first house, Sun is in the fifth house, or in the ninth house, or opposite to it, then it shows that Saturn is getting its support through Sun. So if you pick a profession which is connected with Sun now, like which is connected with the government, or it's connected with anything that is to do with politics, because Sun also represents politics, or suppose you're working with your father or helping him in his work, because Sun is also father. So those are the kind of things that would support, Saturn. But if suppose the same person is not picking up any professional signification, of that planet, of the planet Sun, and they doing something completely different from Sun, then the same combination can maybe give issues. So that is how you have to see that, okay, which is this profession that I'm interested in, and which is something that I'm, thinking of doing. And is it making any connection with my Saturn? Is that planet sitting with Saturn, or is it sitting in the trine to Saturn? So that will help you to better assess. So if suppose Saturn and Ketu are connected in your chart, like Saturn and Ketu are trying from each other. So firstly, it can in some cases show breaks, and obstacles in profession and instability in career life. And especially, but for this, you have to see the degrees. Like if suppose Ketu is always retrograde. So if suppose Saturn is moving towards Ketu in the degrees, and Ketu is, moving behind and it's coming towards Saturn, in that case, it can indicate. But again, if you're doing something, if you're doing a job that is actually making use of the Ketu significations, like suppose you are your profession is connected with electrical, electronic, and electronics. You're doing some research related work. You are involved in genetics, microbiology. So all those things that are strongly connected with Ketu, or you're an Ayurvedic healer. You're doing something which is connected with roots. So researching on those kind of things. Even botany, for that matter, botany can be like a combination of Saturn, Jupiter, Ketu. So if you are doing something, or you are a yoga practitioner, you teach yoga, you're into spirituality. So in those professions, you will see that this combination will not cause breaks because you have successfully utilized the significations of Ketu in your profession. Or if you are somebody who feels that you are, very detached from your career and you're not so much obsessed with respect to career, with respect to promotion and all, then also it shows that this combination starts giving good results. But suppose you are somebody who is extremely materialistic and you have a lot of big desires, big dreams. So if you start behaving like Rahu, which is the exact opposite energy of this, in that case, this combination can give issues. So you have to see that which combination I have and how the planets want me to behave. So if you are doing things in alignment with that, then it works really well. But these are the probable, domains that, Ketu related jobs that you can think, even if you're working in an NGO. Like I've seen people who are doing social service, things in which they don't have, any kind of desire from that they'll get something from it. So again, Saturn Ketu profession. So for those jobs, it is a very good combination to have. Similarly, if suppose you have Saturn, Rahu together, then which are the jobs or domains that would be well suited for you? So firstly, any job or anything that you do which is away from your home place, away from the place where you're born and where you're raised. So it shows that your professional success is more, profession will favor you more if you move away from that city. Or even if you move to a different country, that is also very good with this. And again, like if you do any job which or any business also which has that involvement of Rahu. So if even if you're a businessman with this combination with Saturn Rahu, you have to think big. You have to, think of expansion because that is what Saturn's energy is, telling you to do because it is connected with Rahu. And some professions which are very, very focused, heavily on Rahu, they are, like I said, if you're a pilot, if you are doing anything to connected with aviation, if you're doing anything connected with the Bollywood industry, with people who are very, like very elite people, and you are doing some jobs for them. So they can also come under, Saturn Rahu combination. Or any job which is very fancy, like which has a lot of glamour associated with it. So like we see people who are models, like, fashion models. So there is a lot of glamour that people feel, or people who are influencers, so again, glamour element is there in that. So any job that is connected with that image, with that perception, what people are thinking about me, so that will also be connected with strongly with, Rahu. And any job that is connected with again enhancement of, any sort, like I said. So if you feel like if you want to go in a profession which is artificially enhancing something, like some element of enhancement is there, through some artificial manner, then again in that job, Rahu's involvement will definitely be there. And even you can say that any job which is connected a lot with your looks, so any job in which you have to be always presentable and you have to always look good. So those are all jobs will also come under Rahu. So I'm just telling you that on the surface level, you try to see which job it is, and do you feel like it is something that can be done by you. So even like suppose I take example of a profession, somebody who is a makeup artist, for example. So again, it can be a combination of Saturn, Rahu, Venus. So if suppose somebody has Saturn, Rahu, Venus, they can do very well in that because you are using makeup, you are using, Venus related things. You are also using Rahu because it's artificially enhancing. You're using false eyelashes and all those kind of things. So it can be a job related to that. So like this, you have to see that, with in the case of a pilot, Saturn, Rahu, Venus combination might not be there. It could be Saturn, Rahu, Moon. So like this, the combination will change. So you have to see that which planets are there and combine those planets, and then you have to see which result would it make. Similarly, suppose you have Saturn, Jupiter connected together, or suppose Saturn is in first house and Jupiter is in the fifth house or in the ninth house, then in that case, it can show that you can do very well in a profession which it involves a lot of intellectual thinking, like which requires you to use your mind, use your knowledge, wisdom, and then make decisions. So it's a work that is not manual in nature. Like Mars represents professions that are very manual. You have to do a lot of hard work. So Jupiterian professions would be again like it can be to do with consulting, it can be to do with teaching, it can be connected with law, law strategy. So those kind of jobs are Jupiterian jobs. It can even be something where suppose you're working inside a temple, you're working inside a university. If you want to do any job connected with those things, you want to work in a bank. So again, those things will be connected with Jupiter. And Jupiter also represents children. So again, like any teaching related job, even if it's in a school or if it's in a university, will be strongly connected with Jupiter also. Saturn Jupiter combination supports that. So like this, you will, again, using Saturn, you will get a very good idea that, okay, which combinations I need to focus on now and which are the planets that are actually supporting my Saturn. So how do I make use and how do I come up with a profession and choose the right stream using those planets? So that is why I also gave you some combinations, of certain jobs that can be seeing Mercury after, seeing the position of Mercury, after seeing the position of Saturn. Then on third level, we will move to the 10th house and the 10th lord. So again, of the D1 chart and of the D10 chart. So you again, in both the charts, you have to see that how the 10th house is placed, in which, like, is there any planet placed in the 10th house where the 10th lord is going? And it is also important to see the position of the 10th lord of the D1 chart in the D10 chart. So how strong that planet is and with which planets it is getting connected to. So that will give you a better idea about, the profession in which you should be and what the chart is telling you. And there is another way by which we can see, like, which is using the Lagna of the D10 chart. So suppose you feel like you want to be a doctor, you want to do anything to do with medicine, healthcare, or anything like that. So one of the things is definitely looking at Mercury, Saturn, like I said, like, seeing which house it is placed in. Is it connected with the sixth house, 12th house? Because these houses are very important for somebody who is, in a medical stream. And there could also be another way through which you can see, like, suppose you see that the original sixth lord, like in your D1 chart, like, suppose you are a Virgo ascendant and you have the sign Aquarius in the sixth house. So, and you see in the D10 chart that Aquarius is rising, like Aquarius is becoming the Lagna of the D10 chart. So that could also give you a validation that, this can be a good profession for you. So suppose you see, like, if you want to do business and you see that the seventh house, like, again, for a Virgo ascendant only, you see that Pisces is rising in the D10 chart. So it can show that, okay, if you do things related to the seventh house, then that could be good for you. Because that it is showing that the D10 chart is a house of profession, your career, your karma, basically. And it is showing your karma is linked with that house now. So if you do anything connected with that house, it is in favor of the chart. So that can also be one way. And definitely D10 chart needs to be analyzed in a lot of depth. So first in the D10 chart, you have to look at the Lagna of the D10 chart. That is very, very important because any planet that is placed in the Lagna of the D10 chart, that will impact your career also big time. So you will see that any major changes that happen in your career professional journey, that planet will be responsible and can trigger that. And similarly, if any planet is placed in the 10th house, the 10th lord of the D10 chart, so these two are the most important houses to look at. So if you see that any profession that you feel like going towards, suppose it's connected with Mars. So you see and check Mars placement also in the D10 chart, that how well Mars is placed. Is it supporting me? Is it like debilitated? Is it exalted, that planet? If it's exalted, it shows that, okay, it is showing that strength is there in that planet. So the D10 chart is also supporting that. So if you want to go in for army, you want to go in for any technical profession, manual related profession, so again, Mars will be looked at. If you want to do anything to do with, again, communication, marketing, in a job in which Mercury element is more involved. So check the position of Mercury, how well Mercury is placed, in which house it is going, with which planets it is getting conjunct, and how strong it is in the chart. Similarly, so this is about the D10 chart, and the 10th house of the D10 chart is also very important. So the 10th lord of the D1 chart is also very important to look at in the sense that you see that in which house it is placed in. So if suppose you are doing a work and if you want to do something that is getting connected with that house, and similarly Saturn is also making any connection with that house or with the energy of that house. So you can say that everything is working in alignment, then. Like suppose your 10th lord is in the ninth house, okay, and Saturn is with Jupiter. Okay, and you see that Mercury is also placed in the sign of Sagittarius. So you see that in all the three ways, that ninth house energy is getting very, very strong. So it shows that if the person does something related to teaching, consulting, advising, guiding people, ninth house makes use of that house and that sign energy. So they can do very well. It is completely in alignment with that chart. So like this, you have to see that which, firstly, you see what profession, you are interested in and what is it that you are really, curious about. Then you see and you use your mind that which planet would get connected with that profession. So sometimes different combinations would be there, in a particular profession. It might not be so straightforward. So I cannot say that, okay, all the doctors will have Saturn, Venus only in their chart. You will find a lot of doctors having Saturn, Venus. You will find a lot of doctors having Virgo ascendants also. Virgo ascendant, Aries ascendant. These are common ascendants to find in doctor's chart. But you cannot say that, okay, every doctor will have this ascendant only, or every doctor will have this combination only, but there is a probability. So again, you have to but look at your individual domain. Like even if you're a doctor, you see that what specialization you are going in for. If you're going for dermatology, then you see that Saturn, Mercury, Venus, these planets become more important, especially Mercury, because Mercury represents skin. So like this, you have to see, like if suppose if somebody is a gynecologist, so in their D10 chart, maybe the sign, the nakshatra of Bharani might be very prominent. Or even in the D1 chart, 10th lord might be going in the Bharani nakshatra. So certain nakshatras are also connected with certain professions. And similarly, if suppose somebody is a chef, so that Kritika nakshatra is connected with that, with blunt, sharp objects, or they could even be like a barber, with that combination. So like this, you have to make use of a lot of things. It is not so simplified that I can say, okay, if you have this alignment, then you should definitely do this only. You have to see and make use of, again, Mercury. You have to make use of Saturn also. You have to see 10th Lord position also. So you know by now that, okay, 8th house, is connected with research, it is connected with occult, it is connected with hidden things. So if your 10th and 8th are connected, then it can indicate that if you choose a profession connected with the 8th house, so this will provide stability to the profession. Similarly, if you have 10th, 12th connection, so it can show, okay, if you do something which is away from your city, you go to a different country, or you do any work connected with spirituality, with hospitals, then it shows stability can be provided. Stability can be given in the profession. And so that is one way of looking at it. This is one combination. This is just one yoke. 10th lord going in the 6th. Every person who has 10th lord in the 6th would not be a doctor, right? They could even be a lawyer. So 6th house is connected with that as well. They could be a vet also with that, because it is connected with animals. But you have to look at Saturn's placement also. That's why. So which planet Saturn is getting conjunct with? Which lagna is rising in the D10 chart? Where the 10th lord of the D10 chart is going. So is it making a connection with similar houses? So the more number of repetitions you see, like the probability of that profession rises. So that is how you need to see, like confirmation needs to be there at every level. It's not just about something happening in the D1 chart or some yoga like 10th lord in the 5th or 10th in the 9th, then you can say that the person will do this only. So you have to see in the D10 chart also, that also should show that planet strength. If you have chosen a profession connected with teaching, Mercury, Jupiter become very important, in that sense. Like if you're a primary school teacher, you need to focus more on Mercury. If you are teaching at the university level, you should focus more on Jupiter. So see is Jupiter placement in the D10 chart of people who are professors at universities. You will find Jupiter in good positions. Similarly, if suppose you are if you want to become an IAS officer, you want to go in civil services, you need to focus on Sun and 4th house. So in the D10 chart also, you need to see Sun's position. You need to see 4th house, how strong it is. And in the D1 chart also. So we cannot make any judgment, on the basis of any profession, simply looking at the D1 chart. That same confirmation, that same strength needs to be analyzed in the D10 chart also. That is very important, because that chart also has the final say. Like if suppose for marriage, we say that D9 has the final say. For career and profession, we can say that D10 has the final say, and it has a lot of weightage to it. And any planets that are placed in the Kendras, they naturally gain strength, they become strong, because Kendras are powerful houses. And any planet that is placed in the 12th house, like suppose 8th house of the D10 chart, 6th house. And if you're doing a work that is not connected with these houses, then it is not so favorable, because it can indicate that in periods in dashas of those planets, some difficulties can occur. So like this, I cannot say, and we cannot say that every house is positive, every house is negative. So again, it really depends on what work you are doing, what profession, what job you have. So that will make that house also, like a malefic house like eighth house, also favorable for you. If suppose you are involved in doing something connected with research and with eighth house stuff. So this is how we need to see and analyze. But again, repeating and summarizing it, firstly, you have to see Mercury's position placement. Mercury is telling you your skill set lies in this house, skill set lies in this area. These are the things that you will do very well in. Second is Saturn. Saturn's connection with different planets will give you better flavor, better idea of like which planets are actually, which professions are supporting you, which are helping Saturn in your chart. And on third level, you have to see the 10th house of the D1 chart and the 10th house of the D10 chart and the Lagna also of the D10 chart. And another very snapshot technique is that you can see that, okay, which sign is rising in the D10 chart and where is that sign originally placed in your D1 chart. So that will give you a better clue, okay, I'm doing things related to this house, so it is in alignment with that. And you also need to look at the 10th lord, like the original 10th lord of the D1 chart, and that planet, how strong it is in the D10 chart. Suppose that planet is Vargotama, it shows that that planet has a lot of strength and it's getting the same kind of consistency you will be showing in your professional things also related to that planet. So it's showing consistent efforts. And suppose that planet is exalted, so again it is showing it's become more powerful. So like this, you have to see and assess. So I have given you certain clues related to profession also, like which areas would be the suitable areas. And I've also given you clues as to how you can see that, okay, which, planets are favorable for me and what exactly is the work that I need to do in alignment with those planets. So the 12 zodiac signs are also extremely important, the 12 rashis to look at, like which profession, would you go in for and which profession would be the ideal profession for you. So suppose you see that a particular rashi or zodiac sign is becoming more prominent, like if suppose the 10th lord is situated in a particular rashi, Saturn is also placed there, or if you find Mercury also making some connection with that rashi, so that studying that Rashi can also give you and help you to find out that which profession would be the suitable profession for you. So I will just share my screen and show a glimpse of all the 12 Rashis. And these are some of the significations basically that are represented by these particular 12 Rashis. So this is not a completely comprehensive list. There would be other significations also that each Rashi can have, but at least this list will give you some idea about that which are the probable like areas that you can look at. Like for example, if we see Aries, so Aries is strongly connected with military, so any kind of even business related to military equipments or iron and steel machinery, sports, health, property. Taurus, similarly, it's connected with banking, agriculture, finance, luxury goods, food. Gemini is for again communication, traveling, media. So these are the heavy significations of these signs. Cancer is connected with beverages, hospitality, even something to do with caring, like protection. So people who put their children in crèche, so daycare facilities. So something like that can also be seen from Cancer. Nursing as a profession can also, so Cancer sign, moon becomes very important to look at. And because it's also food, so cafes, restaurants are also seen from Cancer and fourth house. Similarly, for Leo, we can say entertainment, children related, cosmetics, events. For Virgo, like healthcare related, food processing, accounting, analytics. So again, it's a very analytical, logical kind of a sign, Virgo. For Libra, we can say like related to art, fashion, legal, because a sign itself, if you see, it's the scales, so balancing and connected with the law, or diplomatic relations, or any profession connected with like, for example, wedding planners, people who are doing events, so event management, something like that also would come under Libra and seventh house. Scorpio is connected with research, waste management, surgery, investigation, detectives. Sagittarius is with travel, consulting, higher education, teaching. For Capricorn, it can be government, construction, mining, antiques. Aquarius is like technology, electricity, aviation, social services. And for Pisces, it can be healing, isolation, connected with foreign, with fishing, with yoga, meditation. So like this, you can have at least some basic idea of what each sign represents, what is the flavor, what is the, things that are coming under each sign. So this will also help you to identify that correct right profession, for yourself. So I hope that you have, gained something insightful from this video. So if you have any doubts related to the planetary combinations, or if you have any doubts related to profession, like which, profession would involve which planets, so you can ask that in the comment section below, and I would love to answer all your questions. So thank you so much for watching.